everybody? Here we are today talking about how Alex Ovechkin has made hockey history in his first all-time in goals. But before we get started with that, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. And then there were none, right? As Ovechkin is able to break the tie with Gretzky very, very quickly in his next game. This is something that we thought would happen by the end of the season, but I mean, when you see what Ovechkin's been able to do, he was just able to hammer it in home as he has 6 goals in a 5-game period. So again, you're looking at this where he's able to get that consistency and avoid a little bit of a drought, avoid a little bit of, oh, when is this actually going to happen? And it is an amazing thing, and it is just something that feels almost unbelievable in a way, fitting that it happens against the New York Islanders. I don't know if he scored the most career goals against them compared to any other team. I know it's got to be up there, and I do know for a fact that he has the most overtime winners against them in his career out of any team. But kind of cool. I know this one wasn't an OT winner, but just a really great thing to see. And it's something that really makes you, take this all in perspective, because you watch somebody like Ovechkin growing up, or at least I did, and it's weird seeing a player you get to watch live that is first all-time in a category, especially something that is as important as this. I didn't get to watch Gretzky growing up. Obviously, I don't fit into that age bracket, but it just almost feels unbelievable. And I think back to when I did that video about Marc-Andre Fleury going in a second all-time for wins. That is an amazing thing to talk about, but this almost feels just a little bit different. And again, I hate to kind of go back to the whole Sid and Crosby thing, but just like some of these other guys that are so special, it's amazing to see what we've seen where these guys are still able to produce night in and night out. And it does kind of make you think, wow, it's odd knowing this could have even happened, because I think a lot of people when Gretzky broke the record thought, well, there's no way anybody's going to break his record, and it kind of feels like this right now anyway. And knowing that Ovechkin could have another big year next year where he definitely passes over 925 career goals, you say, who's even going to break that? And I know people are probably already moving over to that discussion and kind of talking about that and saying, oh, is Austin Matthews going to be that guy or whoever? But I think you have to remember, you have to have major goal scoring ability. You have to have the ability to be durable, avoid injuries, and also kind of be lucky to where if you do have injuries, they aren't serious where they impact your ability to play at the top level, and even better than that, because again, if you're going to be first all-time in goals, this is going to be something that is so unique. And I think that's what's so impressive about Ovechkin, just seeing all the games he's been able to play. Again, I know people say, look at Gretzky's career, look at some of those seasons that are much better, I guess if you want to look at just the numbers compared to Ovechkin. But the fact that he was able to produce, where last year with a 30-something goal season, where he's in his late 30s, we're talking about this being a down year, absolutely incredible to see from Alex. And I truly do feel, even though we could be talking about this in another 30 years, where maybe hopefully I'm still doing videos, where somebody else is breaking it, that I feel in this moment that it's practically unachievable, because if Ovechkin sticks around and has a monster season where he gets closer to 950 career goals, who is going to be able to be healthy enough and be able to be that good of a goal scorer for that long? And when you have a player like him saying that he didn't think he was going to pass Wayne, who is going to say that they feel like they could pass Ovi? Now, that being said, I know this one was a loss for the Capitals, but this is still a great feeling and a good, run to see, the locker room and how they're celebrating. It's also kind of helping that they are one of the best teams in the league, competing for a top spot in the NHL. This has been one of the more fun seasons in a long time for the Capitals, but this kind of caps it off in terms of the regular season. There's still more to play for, so I shouldn't say that as well as the playoffs, but the loss really doesn't seem to matter here that much in that regard, and I still think this is worth celebrating. I know some people will say, well, they're celebrating after a loss, but again, those are more of the Debbie Downers. When you're able to do something and your name passes Wayne Gretzky in something for your career, it's insane. Because when Wayne retired, I think he had 62 records that he had set, and one of them had been broken. I don't know if this is the second one, but a lot of these things are just, impossible, like assists in a season, goals in a season, whatever you want to say. But when you are above 99, you truly know that you did something special, and I know Ovechkin is able to say that, and seeing the pictures with him and Wayne is just an incredible thing, and it's awesome. And one thing I kind of wanted to talk about here, with this all being talked about for Ovechkin and being incredible and being such a great year for the team, and him just, again, being a monster, is the fact that it happens against Ilya Sorokin. And I think it's kind of a cool thing, both of them being from the same country, Ilya being a little bit younger, and they seem to be doing fine. Of course, they hug, and that's just a really cool thing, probably for an idol to do that. But knowing that happened against you in a game where you performed well, where you only allowed 1 goal, with that being Ovechkin's goal, I think really helps. I think it also helps, too, for Sorokin. He's not somebody that's been struggling. If it had been somebody like Alexander Georgiev, it could have been a bad game, and then this would have been just a culmination where he feels very frustrated. whereas Sorokin is a player that's been a Vezina finalist. Of course, a younger guy that nearly won the Vezina on a team that's been to the playoffs multiple times, that is churning out another good year where the Islanders are in a playoff hunt. So I think that's one of those things that'll get lost, and people will play the clip and talk about Sorokin. But the good thing for Sorokin is, in my opinion at least, his career is leading somewhere where he's not just the guy that Ovechkin will score on, and this is something where I hope he can use it as motivation. And I think, honestly, with the way things are shaping up, if the Islanders are able to go on a run, how crazy would it be if they played the Caps in the first round and were able to upset them, and then Sorokin would kind of have the last laugh? I think it would kind of get brushed over because, again, hockey history and the fact that Alex Ovechkin is already a champion, but just one of those things you can kind of hold on to a little bit later to see if that is a storyline. But I was glad that it wasn't going to be somebody that was really young where they hadn't made their name yet in the league, or it wasn't somebody that had just struggled a lot in their NHL career. Now that all kind of being said, I think that this again just adds to Ovechkin's legacy, and this is really important because you think back to the fact that there's so many things that could hold him back: the lockout, the full season lockout, the shortened season, the fact that he broke his leg, all of these things, and you think back to him possibly not winning the cup. He would have probably finished where, let's say that he had a bigger injury and something kind of derailed things, he would have finished, again, probably top 10 in goals, but if he hadn't won the cup, he would have been a guy who'd been a great goal scorer, a lot of Rockets, but he wasn't somebody that was able to move up to first all time, and wasn't somebody to win a championship. Now he's in a spot where he's a Stanley Cup champion, he is first all time in goals, and again has a buttload of hardware, heart's also an award, I guess, too, if you want to consider that. But it's just an incredible thing to also see the fact that he is chasing first all-time in hits. This is somebody that is very, very unique with the physical build, the diet, the choice of beverages that he seems to be pretty consistent with, the lifestyle that he lives. Again, I think that it is just really funny in a lot of ways because you think of the Tom Brady's where they do take things so serious and they're very strict about their diet and whatnot. Ovechkin, in a lot of ways, just seems to have a lot of fun, and I know that there's been a lot of pressure placed on him, but this is just great for him and his legacy, and now we get to see if he adds on to his legacy as the Capitals are chasing the cup. Now, I do want to see how things kind of transpire. Do they feel a little bit exhausted as the regular season kind of closes out, or does Ovechkin feel a little bit exhausted? I don't really know. I know we've talked a lot about Ovechkin in this season, and I might try to avoid talking about them until we get into the playoffs a little bit, but as you can imagine, record-breaking moment. A fantastic year for the team as well, too, setting the stage where Ovechkin, at the end of the year, could break the goal record and be a two-time Stanley Cup champion. Fantastic to talk about, and just a fantastic storyline all around. Ovi is the greatest goal scorer in league history. Some people may not agree with that, but he is, and that is something that they can't ever take away from him, and we'll see how far he can go. But anyway, what are your thoughts on Ovechkin? Where will his career take him in the final stage? And what do you think his legacy will be remembered as? More as the goal scorer, more as the first champion in Capitals history, a part of that team? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night. And you love hockey, all right? And also, I did want to say that it's been amazing to see the reaction not only in hockey, but in other sports leagues, as well as some of those athletes in those fields, as well as celebrities, too, that are congratulating Ovechkin. It's been cool to see some of these people you didn't really know were that invested in hockey, that are, again, paying at least enough attention. I don't know how invested they are, but some of them may be more than I thought, and it's just really cool to see some of these other leagues. Again, I think especially posting about it, a little bit odd, but again, I think it speaks to the magnitude of this. Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.